The time is now 12 o'clock and this hearing session is open. This hearing session is going to deal with monitoring. And as I said previously, I only have 3 questions on that matter.
Well, I'm sorry, before we start, can I just give Mr. Fraser Urquhart's apologies? We've actually sent him home because he wasn't very well, so apologies for that. And
yeah, he came
yeah.
into my room.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't look well, did he? Very unwell, and he's got to drive home. No, I know. No, absolutely understood. So we don't have anybody else in the room, so I'm comfortable. I'll just introduce the session and then we don't have to do any preliminaries. So this session is in relation to the examination of the Winchester District Local Plan 2020 to 2040. My name's Roisin Barrett. I'm a Chartered Town Planner and I have been appointed to examine the plan. I've been appointed by the Secretary of State. So I think that's all we have to say, really. Okay, so monitoring, don't want to over-egg this. You've got a monitoring framework in the plan. That includes, sorry, I'm just going to turn that up. So by policy, and you've included key indicators and then data sources. Is that right?
That's correct.
Right.
Yes,
and you carry out your AMR every year, and that's done in December.
Yeah.
And published. Yeah,
that's correct.
I've got all of that. So, first question: does the monitoring framework provide the necessary clarity and detail on actions to be taken? For example, if you're not meeting policy aim or objective, should such actions be in the plan, or are they more appropriate for the AMR?
We believe that they're more appropriate for the AMR. We think we make it very clear that if a policy isn't doing what it's set out to be doing in terms of our monitoring of it every year, we're clear that we would conduct an early review. And it's very clear from the AMR if a policy isn't performing the way it should be.
So if we take, for example, I've just turned it up, CN4, that's dealing with water efficiency. So the policy will be monitored through, and these are effectively the key indicators, aren't they? So number of residential developments that are approved, refused plan permission, upheld at appeal, or achieving a maximum water capacity of the target in the plan, number of refurbs, and other non-domestic development meeting BREEAM water efficiency credits. So those are the key indicators that are embedded in the plan. Then you've got your data source, and what you're saying to me is that anything else, how you deal with any underperformance, or if you're not meeting the policy objectives, will be included in the AMR. Yeah, okay.
That's correct, Mum.
Yeah,
yes.
that's fine. Okay. In terms of uncertainty, what you say is that that's best dealt with through effective policies and the development management process. Do you have anything further to say on that? Anybody?
Thank you, Mum. In terms of uncertainty, particularly in relation to, because I know that we've had some representations in relation to the monitoring of housing shortfalls, I just wanted to say that in terms of the local plan, policy H2 specifically sets out the mechanism for addressing any housing shortfalls should this occur, where greenfield sites are held back.
Sorry, can I just turn to H2?
Yeah.
So yes, most of the comments that we've had is actually about housing delivery, isn't it, and how that's dealt with. So let's just look at it in that context. So just turning up H2, that's the phasing.
That's correct,
isn't it?
the phasing policy.
yeah.
So that's the specific mechanism for addressing any housing shortfall should this occur. And where greenfield sites are held back until 2030, if we specifically mentioned, the intention is that if there is any under delivery, these will be brought forward to meet the under delivery of housing on specific housing that meets an identified priority need. But also on top of that, we've also mentioned in the authority monitoring report that we're pointing towards the housing delivery test in relation to the housing requirement if that's not delivered. Paragraph 34 of the PPG specifically applies to authorities that under-deliver in relation to housing delivery tests, if that were to be the case, and sets out what local planning authorities must do if the housing delivery falls below 95%.
And some people say, well, that needs to be included in the plan. What do you say to that?
I don't foresee any need to actually include it in the plan because it's in basically what you have to do, and a number of local authorities unfortunately are in that situation and have to do it. So I don't think you need a policy to include it, Mum.
I don't disagree with you there. Okay, and we've seen that you've got the review mechanism anyway, haven't you, in the plan, and you've pointed me towards that. I've in my preparation, I've been able to look at your AMR in detail. I've looked at your monitoring framework. I don't have any further questions on that. Is there anything else that anyone would like to say? Okay then, let's finish that business then. And then now, Mr. Urquhart Fraser, I still don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Is it Urquhart? Urquhart.
Fraser Urquhart.
Fraser. Said that you wanted to make a closing statement. I'm happy to hear that. Whoever would like to deliver that.
Okay, thank you, Mum. It'd be myself.
And are you going to put this as an examination document?
We can submit this as an examination document. We've got a paper copy here if you'd like one as well, but it's up to you, Mum.
Well, let's see what it is, and then we'll decide how we do it. Okay.
Thank you, Mum. So our closing statement is the government has made it very clear that local plans that are at an advanced stage of preparation can be progressed under the transitional arrangements. This is exactly what the City Council has done. If the government obviously didn't want plans to move forward under the transitional arrangements, they would not have included this provision. The City Council believes that it's demonstrated throughout the examination process that the local plan will plan positively for growth needed over the plan period. The key point that we would like to make is that this local plan is deliverable, effective and justified against the NPPF and alternative options which were known to the City Council at the very stage of the local plan making process. In terms of the start date, there is no guidance from government in either the NPPF or NPPG on what should be the start date of the local plan. In view of this, the start date of the local plan that has been subject to the examination is based on sound reasons informed by professional judgment of officers who know their district. There are many other examples of local plans that have gone through a local plan examination, which include a start date which is several years in the past at the point of the examination. Even if the inspector does not agree with the start date of 2020 and we go for an alternative start date, the plan will provide in full for Winchester's needs, and we can still demonstrate a 5-year housing land supply for the purposes of development management and plan making. Moreover, whatever the start date, the plan makes a valuable contribution to meeting the unmet needs of the Push area, exactly in line with the Push strategy. Provide an excess where possible in this planned cycle, and then rely on the supply of broad areas of search. And this is the basis which the local plan has progressed. It is important to stress that all local authorities in Hampshire have a role to play in meeting any unmet housing need requirements arising from Push. It is not just Winchester. It is important to stress that the City Council has a good track record of delivering housing, either through the market or from its own building programme, which you heard about, which is around 1,000 dwellings a year. To put this into perspective, our target is in the new NPPF, which obviously the plan's not been examined, is 1,128 homes a year. This clearly demonstrates that the City Council is not ducking away from delivering housing, and it's something that we are used to doing. In accordance with the NPPF, we want to have a sound and up-to-date local plan which will guide future planning decisions and growth in the district. This is in the council's and local residents' interest and exactly what we're trying to do under the government's transitional arrangements. Contrary to what's been said at the local plan examination, the council considers the local plan is boosting the supply of housing, as well as including an unmet need allowance of 1,900 dwellings. This has been supported by a robust sustainability appraisal, habitat regulation assessment, and a nitrates assessment, which is a major issue for the district. The council is anxious, in order to maintain a sensible, steady supply of housing, to be aware of the constraints of nutrient neutrality, which still presents, and to prioritise brownfield sites, and to maintain a policy of bringing forward brownfield sites and not to permit greenfield sites until 2030. To reiterate 3 key points that we'd like to leave with the Inspector, the City Council has progressed the local plan for examination under the government's transitional arrangements, which is what the government wants LPAs to do. The City Council is fully committed to adopting this local plan, and officers would start straight away on the next local plan. There's an agreed budget in place and a local plans team that is ready to make a start on the new local plan. And thirdly, we firmly believe that in accordance with the NPPF, we want an up-to-date local plan that identifies where development needs rather than going by planning appeal. And finally, some thanks. On behalf of Winchester City Council, I'd like to thank the Inspector for the professional way that you have conducted the hearing sessions. I'd also like to thank the Programme Officer, Jill Taylor, for the way in which she has coordinated the hearings and managed correspondence between all parties, which is greatly appreciated. And finally, I would like to publicly thank my own officer team here and all the consultants that have basically played a role in the examination in terms of the evidence base and obviously working on the plan over a number of years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fox. Okay, having heard that, I didn't take any notes because you said you had a copy for me. So please, could I take a copy of that? And could we please get that up on the examination website ASAP for everyone? Okay. Thank you very much. And that's a very helpful summary for me. So thank you very much for that. Okay, if we can just turn to next steps. So I've progressed the examination at pace. Usually we would have had bigger breaks between things. So I've addressed it at pace, and that means that I haven't come to my conclusions on all matters. And you know the big things that I have raised concerns about, you know about, you've provided additional detail. I'll be considering those. Some things I've made my mind up, and I'll be able to tell you about those in quite quickly. I understand the imperative to get a plan in place. So what I can do, I can reassure you that I'll be working on this at pace. However, I am going to take a little bit of leave. I'm just 3 days next week. So you're not going to hear from me next week. And then I'm on another project for a whole week. So you're going to have to wait. You won't hear from me definitely in the next fortnight, but I can assure you that I'll be putting together my comments. And if you do need to do any work, you'll hear from that, but it won't be for the next 2 weeks. I also want to consider whether an inspector focused consultation on some matters may be appropriate or not, but I've still got that in my mind. So just to, so what I would usually do is put out a note and set a timetable there. It's something that usually I would run past the council because you would need to put your timetables and what your constraints are in there as well. I just want to say thank you to the programme officer behind the scenes. Jill, you've done a fabulous job. Thank you very much. And I've also been amazed that Jill has actually been interested in the sessions and at her own, has been interested enough to opt to sit here and listen to all the sessions. So thank you, Jill. And that nobody asked her to come in. That was her own requirement. Thank you very much to the council and to all your consultants and indeed all the participants who've contributed. I've got a hugest respect for people who give up their own time in the public interest to come to sessions like that and to contribute. It really is to be applauded. So, and thank you. You know, it's been a very courteous. Everybody's been very helpful and very courteous throughout the examination. And just let's make sure that that spirit of cooperation takes us through after the examination. Is there anything else that anybody wishes to say?
If I may, Mum, just a couple, just housekeeping. You asked us basically in terms of our actions, just to be clear, what you asked us to do. In terms of Tollgate, we have been in correspondence with basically a person regarding the ownership of that. We're trying to get clarification what we can give to you and what we can give in the public domain. So our intention is to basically give that information to the programme officer by Wednesday, if that's acceptable.
Yeah.
We realise that we've got a couple of main modifications regarding the vibrant economy topic, which my colleague's working on at the moment. And obviously there was at least one from this topic today, sustainable transport. I don't believe there are any other outstanding matters, but I will be guided by you if you believe there's anything else.
I don't have any outstanding matters. What would be very helpful to me is I'm going to be away Monday to Wednesday, so that's absolutely fine. And up to date, what you see is your up to date schedule of MMs, and then I can work from that. And usually, I don't know, I've done it in different ways, but that forms the basis of my comments. And usually we have quite an extensive dialogue between inspector and council. I think that's everything. Is there anything else? Okay, then it's now 12:15, and this hearing session is ended. Thank you very much, everyone.